Short and sweet. Okay, I see that we are live. Okay, perfect. So, welcome everyone at the Cyano Automaton workshop led by Pokrywka. We are really super happy to have you all here, joining us for some bacterial microbial madness today. And at the beginning, I just wanted to say that this workshop is organized by the Uroboros Festival together with the Creatures Project, the Creative Practices for Transformational Futures project. And the whole festival is funded by public funds. So I would also like to thank to all those nice people who gave us some resources, the Abacus Foundation, the Slovak Arts Council, and the City of Prague. And that's, I think, all from me for the practicalities. You can, of course, use chat. I should also say that in the Zoom here, but also feel free to chat on the festival Discord channel, which will be running throughout the whole festival. I will paste a link into the Zoom. So both options are okay. And yeah, I will give the floor to Agnieszka. And thank you very much, Aga, for joining us today and for offering to run this workshop.
Thank you, Marketa, and thank you all to be here on Friday on Zoom. I really admire that. So thank you very much. And as Marketa said, today we met here to get a little bit more familiar with Cyano Automaton project, which I've been working with several other people, which I will come to it later, for the last months. But I will not tell more what is this project about, but I will start from, I will try to mimic the process of how I was developing this idea, and I will attempt to guide you through that. So I will share the screen right now with you. I realized that I didn't introduce myself, but it doesn't matter. It's a workshop about Cyano Automaton and not about me. But I'm sharing the screen right now, and we start. I'm always clicking in the wrong button. It's so yellow. I want to like, hey, this is it. Yeah. Okay.
Now we...
Do you see what I see?
Yes, some massive waves.
Yes, we see some waves.
Yes, what is it? By the way, please, everybody, you talk in the moment you want. There is no Q&A section. It's an ongoing Q&A. So please, it's a dialogue rather than presentation. However, I have this privilege to share my screen. Yeah, what is going on here? It is actually how the mining process happens. So you need to blast big amounts of ground to take out stuff from there. So let's say gold. And the more gold is being exploited, for example, the more you need to dig in, the deeper you need to dig in. So the more blasts you have to do. And I don't remember now exactly the number, but in order to make one golden ring, you need to blast like a tons of ore or this earth in order to find that much gold. Well, the video is available on YouTube if you would like to continue with that. We are currently undergoing a huge environmental crisis, and it's not just about this that we are, it's a very complex problem, and I don't want to simplify it too much, but one of the big problems is mining. And it's not just about like a destruction of the earth, and also deforestation, because you need to remove the trees in order to mine, but also about production of CO2. For example, when gold is mining, it's a lot of machinery involved in order to make this all happen. So the CO2 is a quite actually serious problem, and gold mining is one of the biggest producers of all the kind of mining industries which are out there. It's funky because I cannot switch from like this. And I made like a little diagram of a train of thoughts I had, because we are somewhere here, you know, it's mining and this production of CO2. Then we take out the gold, which is visible on the right. And then the gold becomes a value. So for example, $1, but any other currency. And I was thinking, what this money we could use for? And one of the things we could spend them on are actually, let's say, space exploration programs. When we do the exploration program, then we colonize. And when we colonize, we usually, or human, extract resources, and so on and so forth. I put here the sheep to kind of refer to colonization, maybe not prospective colonization of space, but colonization which happened several centuries ago, which, to be very honest, didn't have very different kind of a simplified scheme than this picture. And I wanted to reflect in this presentation how, for example, mining and exploitation itself is related to the mindset which is not with us for the last, I don't know, years or just a century, but it comes from quite like an irresponsible way of thinking, which is short term and which doesn't look at the profit and well-being of everybody involved. So here we come to our cooking, which will be intertwined with everything what I will be talking here about. And we start from the cocoa powder, which is quite interesting ingredient, talking of colonialism, because it comes from Mesoamerica, and it was brought to all other places in the world exactly from there. So if not colonization, the cocoa wouldn't be so popular. I will also not tell you what we are preparing here, but it will come during the presentation, no worries. I don't see, since I have a full screen right now, I don't see anybody's faces, so it's a little bit weird, but can you just tell me if there's anybody who is following me in the process of preparation of this mysterious dish?
Yes, I'm going to try.
That's amazing.
Me too.
Wow, that's so great. Thank you so much for.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if I have everything, but I'm trying.
But we can also, this is also another thing, because, for example, in this first slide here related to cooking, I am talking about certain proportions of ingredients. They are very exemplary, like it's an example. I just did so before, so I just wrote here what I did before, but I'm even not sure if I will be following it very properly. You can, for example, make it a bit smaller, a little bit bigger. But I would also like to, I will go out now from sharing. And if you would like to, you can also You can just look on the screen. I will try to show you what is happening on a table. Right. So I have a little bowl here and the cocoa powder. And I said 2 spoons, right? Tablespoons. So let's just place it there.
Sorry, you said 2 tablespoons.
Yes, yes, yes. Just like 1 and the second. It's quite funky to make it, you know, like in like an almost office setting. But I hope I will not destroy the whole, I don't know, computer, whatever. Anyways, I have the 2 spoons of cocoa, and I come back to the presentation. Let's see what will happen in the next step. Here's my face, I'm still here. Okay. Share the screen. So basically on this slide is shown what I more or less already said. So it's more about seeing this extraction as kind of colonial mindset, which in this train of thought is seen as one of the ingredients of ecological catastrophe which we are dealing right now. So now we have another ingredient, which is sugar. It depends how sweet you like it, basically. But it is sugar or the replacement of a sugar if you are not into sugar so much. For example, I got here stevia, which is very sweet. So I will just add half teaspoon. But if you would like to add more or lesser, it's really up to you. It's also, if you don't like sweet at all, it's also very optional. So this time I'm adding just a little bit, but it really just depends on how sweet you like it. And I would just mix it here all together. So both powders kind of mix nicely. And meanwhile, when you are doing it, I can just refer to sugar as I don't know if you ever heard about this expression, but sugar by some in the historical time was called white gold, actually, king of gold. Because it was a product which wasn't that accessible. And there were times where actually sugar was more expensive than these days. It was maybe up to around like a 19th century when it was that when the prices got a little bit lower of sugar. And oops, I have cocoa on my face. And yeah, I'll share with you the screen again. I kind of knew that it would be funky to switch from one to another, but let me exercise this multitasking. Yeah, so I mentioned that sugar was historically called the white gold because it wasn't very accessible and it was quite expensive till 19th century. And interestingly, that it was called gold because gold has this, it's a symbol of wealth and status, and it's something one is looking for. It's something to search for, and the properties of actually why even gold became that symbol of the status and wealth is that it has amazing properties, like it's extremely flexible, and even if it will be melting, crushing it, cutting, it can never disappear, like for example a gas or some other materials. So that's why it was quite common to treat gold as currency. But also gold was mined referring to this narrative about colonies in the colonies, and actually a lot of slave trade between Africa and colonized areas in Americas were kind of fueled by the fact that in the current territories of Brazil, there was actually the biggest gold rush in history, and just because they needed, or people were needed to mine all those resources, they were transported by the ocean from the Africa. Yeah, let's see what next. And now we are adding a little bit of salt. I would say it's like a pinch of salt. I will not move my camera because it's quite easy step. Well, like previous ones. Let's show it like this. How are you doing out there? Are you still there?
I'm mixing.
Good, good.
I'm also on it.
Very good. Tell me if something is too fast and you need more time to steer. That's all right. So maybe a little bit about the salt, that salt also have been used for the, well, it's been quite expensive, and there were even something like a salt road, like a Silk Road in a history, where traders could carry the salt to areas which didn't have the salt resources naturally, they couldn't access it. So it was definitely a material like a very good for trading. And also salt, I don't know how many of you is fermenting here, but it had very big role in food preservation, like all around the world, basically. So it was really a key ingredient to keep the food all year round, especially some kind of foods. But maybe talking about the salt and its kind of a value, I wanted to show you right now the kind of a curve or which represents gold value in various years. So you can observe that sometimes it is pretty low, sometimes it's very high. Actually, right now the price of gold is quite high. But again, besides this, that gold produces value, it also produces CO2, which I've mentioned before. And here I wanted to share with you that it's around 0.8, so almost 1 ton of CO2 just for mining 1 ounce of gold. So these amounts are pretty big. And now we are going to a little bit more, all the powder ingredients have been added to the mix. And now we are adding the peanut butter or any other buttery stuff. Let me show it to you. And I estimated to around two or 3 tablespoons. But I recommend to add a bit lesser than more, because it also maybe depends on the structure of your peanut butter, if you are using peanut butter, because some of them are more liquid and some are more solid. So I recommend that it's not too liquidish. So if it's very smooth one, then don't add too much. So as I said, 2 to 3 spoons. I don't have any additional story about peanut butter, but if you know any, go for it. We are also entering.
What if I add tahini?
It's a very good idea.
Good.
So anything kind of a paste like. I could even imagine that it could be like mixed nuts with some oil, for example. Something which has like a...
My peanut butter is really, really stiff. So.
Okay. Yeah, mine too, actually. And here we are entering a little bit of a dirty part, because we need to mix those things we have in the bowls together. And I tell you, it's not so easy to do with a spoon, and we might have to do it just by our fingers. So there will be a break for washing hands, I tell you.
Yeah, I already see what you mean.
Okay, I go with my hand at least once, so with another one I can operate the computer. It should become kind of like a cocoa mixed with water, quite dark. Any ideas what we are making here? Yet?
Colonial paste. Everybody, in any case, looks quite concentrated.
It's like a vegan chocolate truffle.
Cosmic brownie.
Close.
Something you could buy at Lululemon.
Yeah. How is it going for you? Are the ingredients mixing together, or they are quite lazy to do so?
Oh, you can't see. But yes, it's just the dark mushy.
Yeah, they mix so well, even with the bowl. You cannot see the difference.
Fingers is much better than the spoon, much better.
With a hand, it's even like kind of pleasant to mix them. Talking about this sugar amounts, like this is also a good moment to have a bite of a little bit of it, and then see if you need more sugar or not. It should be like a pleasant sweet.
It's good.
Did you have peanut butter, or are you putting some tahini like Market?
I'm having
put
tahini, but
peanut
it
butter.
looks okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm still
Mine's
keeping
like
my
this.
hands clean. Oh, yeah,
That's good.
yours looks more like a truffle.
Mm.
Good. It should be quite stiff, no? Like a dough almost.
Yeah, it is. I just wanted to say that I'm keeping the hands clean because I promised Aga that I will be responding in chat, but maybe it won't be needed.
Yeah, that's why I ask you for it, because I am like this right now. Okay, I think that mine is kind of done, but I will take some time to wash my hands anyways. But please massage your contents. I'm back in a minute.
Mine tastes quite good.
Eat it yet.
Hmm?
I didn't have normal cocoa, so I used this hot chocolate powder with Australian native like spices in it.
Wow.
It's great.
Let's see what will you grow.
I think it will work just great.
Oh boy, Andrea.
Please do what you are doing, but I will keep the story rolling. But you just keep doing, and I will be a radio for you. I'll just share the screen anyways. Again. So we just added this nut butter, and in this occasion, I would like to talk to you about the relationship between price of gold and the value of, for example, dollar. But I guess it could work the same for many other currencies. So there was a time, basically from the beginning of the 20th century till 1971, where gold standard was being used. That means that the value of gold and US dollar were associated together. So as much gold was there, that much money was in the pole, let's say. And so in other words, like the value of a unit of a currency was tied to the specific amount of gold. But after 1971, those two values got disconnected. That's why gold has nothing to do right now. The amount of gold has nothing to do with the amount of dollars, let's say. the only way how dollar is valued is through supply and demand. But as you might see on this image, if you have free eyes to look at on the screen, the blue on the blue color is a value of a dollar, and this orange kind of a honey color is a value of gold. And you might notice that they are kind of when the gold is high, the dollar is low, and the other way around. And that is connected to the fact that falling dollar increases the value of the gold, and when the US dollar starts to lose its value, investors look for the alternatives in investment to store the value. So then the gold is being a good alternative. So investors or people want to buy gold. So that's why there is always this opposite, let's say, dependency between both. Yeah. So that was a little bit about how basically gold becomes value in money, and how also these days the value of the currencies is not anymore tied to that. You can also see actually on this curve that the value of dollar of the gold is much higher these days, or let's say in the 21st, in the last couple of years than it was before. So it's good time to have some gold. So what I was also mentioning in this very fair circular image is like, okay, so what the money can be spent on? Yeah, like on mining more gold, more money, and where to do it when the resources are going to end at some point, because they are not really renewable if we think about gold. So I wanted to talk here about space missions. And of course, I put an image of a Perseverance rover, which is currently exploring Mars, and it's this very iconic picture where on which the rover is basically taking its own selfie. Yeah. So now we mix this all, and I leave it to your own judgment. If it's very liquidish, it's good to put it to the freezer for some minutes when I will be talking about some other things. But if you are happy with its consistency, that it's quite like stiff, then there is no problem with that. But I think that I will go with mine to the freezer, just to be on the safe side. It's a little bit easier to make the next step after it lands in the freezer. So I encourage those who feel like putting it in the freezer to do like that. And I am back in 5 seconds or 10. Okay.
Sorry, to the fridge or to the freezer?
To the freezer. It will be in the fridge if we would have more time, but since this workshop is not so long, maybe freezer is a little bit better. Because what we will have to do is actually form little balls or discs out of it. And you need to kind of see if the balls are kind of there and they are not sticking to your hands. Or if it's too sticky, then the freezer is a quite good solution to do it. While the freezing is happening, I mean, please, like, do you need some time to go to explore your freezer, or you are all good, so I can follow further?
I'm okay. How about the others?
Yeah,
See thumbs
put
up.
it in the freezer, no problem.
Already in the freezer.
Great.
Same.
Here I put like image comparing the surface of a Mars with a surface of how kind of mining sites might look. And I put them together because it's not so hard to imagine that one become the other. So it's just like a visual comparison of both. And I wanted now, so if we talk about space exploration, of course, we also need to think about what those people out there are eating. And when we think about the deep space explorations and, for example, colonization of Mars, which is the most probable of the planets to even reach by humans other than Earth. I wanted to show you the video which shows food, which is actually, and I was really surprised to discover it, one of the most like a popular or most eaten product on space missions. And I will show right now this video. It takes several seconds, so our freezer can freeze what it has to freeze. And after the video, maybe during the video or after the video is over, we can bring our bowl back to the table. But let's see what is happening here.
Wow. All right. Bike. Get. Whoa.
Oh man, you got
Bike. All right. Here, this is space food. An M&M sandwich.
Space
food.
Let me nude up before you start doing that. Too late.
Ooh, that looks yummy. Yeah, that's my sandwich, man.
We need to do a
A
cross
dessert
cam.
sandwich. Be contact.
Hazardous. Hazardous. Oh, that's a good one, Leon. It's got a nice bubble in it, too. Here you go, Dan. Now you have to separate the straw somehow. Oh, there's M&M's floating up there.
You know what for there.
It has to be big. It has to be small enough to be able to eat in one
There you
hit.
go. Yeah.
Oh, a surface one. Look at that.
Surface.
Have we seen a surface one?
Very
I'm
good.
gonna get captured.
Two
Well,
surface.
Here, hang on a second. Let's get this one.
Whoa.
Whoa, sorry, dude. Oh.
That's gonna be a
You want me to
meal,
hold
man.
that? I'll hold it here. I got it.
Knock one out?
Just really knocked it through. It's like croquet.
No, or I was.
Billiards. All right, you ready for separation?
Wait.
Separate. Hold on,
Go
one
ahead.
more.
Oh man. What's the
Dude.
what's the ice
Baseball,
game?
too.
My-
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Curling. That's gonna be
Curling.
a meal, man.
Yeah.
That's 2 sips.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, don't choke on it.
Good blobology.
Go for it, L-Dog. You got
Got it.
Oh,
Whoa, almost on the lens.
I know.
I know.
Water. Extra water.
So it's not hard to guess right now what we are preparing right now. We are going to make DIY M&Ms. And now a couple words and space M&Ms, but it is coming. So what we are going to do right now with our blob, we are going to form little balls. You can be imaginary how the space M&Ms of your coming from your hands should look. It could be a small disc. It could be a little something like that. It could be a ball. So It just has to be kind of a candy size, so it fits to your mouth, I recommend. Or anybody mouth you want to feed with the space M&Ms. But maybe here I wanted to tell you a couple words about M&Ms. That first of all, they're owned by Mars Corporation. Isn't it great? Second of all, they were invented or kind of turned into product. I guess, let me see, I think in the 40s, and they were inspired by the product which soldiers had with themselves during Spanish Civil War in the 30s. So actually, it's a product which is inspired by something which was carried by soldier fighting in Spain. So they had to invent a chocolate which doesn't melt so easily. And M&Ms is kind of I don't know if you remember the slogan of M&Ms, that it melts in your mouth but not in your hand. So I find it quite tricky with the M&Ms. Are you into M&Ms yourself?
Not too much, but these taste great.
That's great. Are you making your shapes, your little balls or discs, whatever?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, they're still a bit loose though, so they're all kinds of shapes and they're flattening out. So
yeah, mine are like very, but I like that they are irregular. And yeah. I think there are two kinds of M&Ms at least. One is like this flat ones and another round one with a nut inside. So I'm kind of pretending that I have the one with a nut, but it doesn't have a nut inside. But we have a peanut butter.
Exactly.
Good enough.
That's our protein done for the day.
Exactly. So maybe talking about the space food is that the problem with space food is that, or no, maybe differently. So I have to say about my relationship to this kind of videos, which we just saw. Because I have to say that on one hand, I love them and I'm like, oh, I want that too. But on the other hand, I have this feeling, oh no, this is just so wrong. Why they are there, what they want to do. And this conflict within myself, it's quite, I think it is driving me to do what I am doing right now, meaning space M&Ms.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, I feel that way about like Instagram food as well, because when you see a nice plate, you immediately want to kind of take a picture and, it gives you joy. But at the same time, is it kind of perpetuating a process where we keep photographing our food rather than eating it?
That's very true.
Did you put spirulina in yours, Ara?
No, spirulina is still not there because we are still in a contemporary space food.
Okay.
And soon we will be thinking, what is the M&Ms of the future? I'm giving here very obvious hints.
I made pyramids.
Wow. They are quite a chunky. Great. I like it in a handmade kind of M&Ms that you can decide about the size. So for example, if you want a big M&M, no problem. But if you want a smaller one, it's also good. Okay, I'm for now done with mine. It is this kind of amount. I decided to make the fake one without the nut inside. And I will use this moment to wash my hands. And I am back.
Andrea, we are getting a lot of your house noises.
Am I not having the mute?
You didn't, but I don't think it's a big deal.
So, if you are done with your shaping of the balls, and we still have some other stuff to chat till we will come back to our plate, let's say. It's maybe a good idea to put it back in a freezer, because they usually get a little bit more soggy after having it in the warm hands. So I will also do it with mine, because it will make our life easier in the next step. And I will keep talking here, but it will be just a flow. So what is the problem with space food is that for now, these people who go to space, they need to take this food with themselves. There is no really like a closed system where you can produce the food, or they are trying to, of course, do it, grow some space plants on, I don't know, International Space Station, but it's still not enough to really feed anybody yet. So it's on the level of experimentation. But if we think of plants, what is amazing in growing them is that also they produce oxygen. So besides delivering food, they can also deliver oxygen, which is so crucial to be in space. And I don't know if you ever, and now we are finally coming to spirulina. So I don't know if you've heard about it, but to me, spirulina, which is a kind of a cyanobacteria, is actually inventor of photosynthesis. So you can imagine it's a very, very old organism, and it saw quite a lot in its lifespan as a species, let's say, from beginning of all life on Earth through like being actually quite important element in several cultures, both like in pre-colonial Mexico and Congo, where it was being harvested from the surfaces of sweet lakes, to like a commercialization of spirulina. I guess already in 70s it started to happen. And then, I don't know, those of you who live by some lakes or even sea, you might be facing the same species, not spirulina, but another type of cyanobacteria as blue-green algae blooms, which kind of by many is perceived as something evil and bad, but actually it is so because they live off the polluted water with phosphorus, for example, so from excessive agriculture. And to me, it's very fascinating that on top of this everything, of this like very multifaceted history from, you know, being an inventor, feeder of several different cultures, commercial product, it also becomes a potential space food. And do you see full screen?
I don't work out, the commander's gonna make me. Yeah.
It's gonna fire me, so.
No, it's not a full
A
screen.
bit
yet.
smaller.
Yeah.
Seems you need to stretch it. Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, so here I brought like a single shot of showing already spirulina hanging out on ISS, International Space Station. And so it's already there. It's already there. In the bottom left corner, you can see like an energy bar, which besides Gaji, how they call Gaji, like a, I want to say bear, but like a, you know, this yeah, exactly. They also have spirulina, so this is already kind of attested official food of the astronauts. And spirulina, since to me it's quite interesting about spirulina because it's like a, you could imagine it's like a liquid plant. So if you would spill plant from its own shape, it will become spirulina basically. So it has quite similar properties and rhythm of day and light and need of light and so on. And it also produces quite good amounts of oxygen. And coming back to our on-site cooking experiment, I was thinking that the point of today's experimentation and mixing all those ingredients together is to make the food of the future space mission, which is DIY M&Ms like. Actually, I'm thinking M&Ms, but I think in every country there is like an own version. I think like in Czechia, it's like a lentilky thing. So I think every country has its own version of it, but you might be guessing right now that we will be coating these balls or these pyramids or whatever is there. We'll be coating them with spirulina, but it will not be bare spirulina, but now we will make the only step which involves actually some more hardcore tools because we need to melt whatever we got there. I am proposing here or white chocolate, or I have here like coconut butter. So something which is not too dark, because if we have a dark chocolate, the beautiful spirulina green color won't be so visible. But of course you can use that. That's the only reason why I'm suggesting white chocolate or the coconut butter, so we can really see the green color of the spirulina. But I would like to encourage you right now to whatever you got there to melt it, and you can do it in two different ways. So or you put it everything what you got there to the pot, and you warm it up and it melts. But I think I will go this time for the technique that I will pour the hot water in the bowl. And I will put another bowl inside of this hot water, so I can be here more with you rather than in the kitchen. I mean, probably so many of you have experience of melting chocolate or I don't know, coconut butter. So it's a very quick process. So the moment when it starts to melt, just stop melting it because you know it will catch up. And we don't want to have it like super liquid, but it should be a bit thickish. But let me see. where you are. Stop sharing. How does it sound? Still there?
Is
Yeah, it's just boiling water. It's good.
is
Great.
coconut butter not the same as coconut fat? No.
No, it will be much more liquid, but you could definitely try it. And if you have some spirulina, then it will become very, very colorful. But it has lesser taste than coconut butter. I think in Finland they are called this like kokosmanna.
Ah, okay. I have kokosolia. Oli.
But this is all about, you know, experimentation. It will get solid for sure, but not so much. So it will be an M&Ms which melt in your hand. But who cares? Hey, I'm going to bring some hot water and we continue. I'm recommending that you put like maybe 3 tablespoons of whatever you got there, maybe 2, maybe 3 actually will be okay. And melt it, not more. I don't think more will be needed for that. I got ready with the paper towels. That's very good. It's already getting messy. Okay. So I saw some of those experiments for space, which are showing like a little plastic bag with spirulina growing, and it has 2 tubes. On one, you are breathing in CO2, breathing out actually, and then on the other, the oxygen is coming out. So it's also seen as a system of like, well, basically oxygen production during space mission. Is it melting for you?
Yes, yes.
So as you might be already imagining that we will be coating with what we are preparing here, what we already prepared. So I invite you to be very creative on how we coat. Because I am going to use today for coating toothpicks. So each little piece I will attach to the toothpick and then kind of put the toothpick inside of the melted, in this case, coconut butter. But you can also just put it in and put it out and put on a plate. So it's really depending on what you have available there by hand or what kind of effect you want to get.
You already mixed the spirulina inside the chocolate?
Not yet, but I have to say I have a dirty bowl since I tested it. So I thought like, oh, I'll reuse the rest which is there. So no worries. I mean, it's also, we can add it right now, no? Like it doesn't really matter. The most important is that all the parts are kind of melted, which in my case is there. It also depends. I encourage you, in case you don't have spirulina, you can put basically whatever you want. You can put like turmeric and make it yellow. But since it's a spirulina focused workshop, although it will be hard to guess from the first hour, I go with spirulina, I go with green. But you can think of many different natural pigments, which we have actually available quite widely in the kitchen.
So I'm adding actually spirulina that I have in the tablet form.
Oh, wow.
So I will need to try that first.
Or maybe you crush them beforehand.
I will crush them with knife first, I guess. They're quite hard.
I just crushed mine with just a teaspoon and it works well on a plate.
Ah, that's great. So do you have experience with actually eating spirulina?
I usually take it as a peel, but sometimes I put it in a shake.
Okay. Do you like it?
Yeah, I mean, it's very green. It's very dominant in color and also in flavor a little bit.
It is, it is.
I'm usually throwing the tablets into salad, which you should not do, but I kind of like the taste. Like you're supposed to just, you know, swallow it and like drink water after that. But I like the taste. So when you throw it in a salad, it melts a little bit and gives it this like specific spirulina taste. Flavor.
I will try it.
Hey, but let's definitely just please go with spirulina inside. I would recommend to put like well, as you said, it's very green. So you put as much as you want to the color you like. I don't know. I will put around 1 teaspoon or maybe 2 super max. I think that the daily intake of spirulina is like if you are not used to it, like around 1 teaspoon. So I don't think we can overdose it here. So no problem. Okay. Have you ever seen how spirulina is being produced in the industrial way? It's quite impressive, I have to say. I will not show you another YouTube video, but I encourage you to show you. They basically have like a transparent pipes with spirulina going all around. Like a basically green water.
So what's the point of spirulina? Because I never kind of got into it. Like, so it's super, super healthy.
Yes, it has a lot of like, it's very good if you don't eat meat. Yeah. It's an amazing replacement of meat because like
for iron?
Yeah, exactly.
Ah, ooh.
So that's why it is so like I think that in the space mission setup, there is like there's the search for like where we will get, you know, energy from. So, and also you can take like a teeny tiny amount of alive spirulina, and then it grows like crazy if you put it in the right setup. So it's also solving the issue of you cannot transport that many things to space, or just the most crucial. So you want to look for the solutions which are like lightweight.
Yeah. But then, like, if it's growing so easily, then why is it so expensive? No, it's a bit expensive.
I think it's for sure like the hipster hype. Sorry to say like this, but for sure it's that. And then another thing is that I noticed that for some strange reason, spirulina is not grown in so many countries. It's not like because it's the best to have it like a, you know, quite bright environment. So maybe in the countries which are located closer to the equator. Yeah. So I need to show it. My mix looks like this. Yeah, kind of deep green, and I will bring right now my own M&Ms from the fridge to see what's going on there, because we will be coating now. So now probably it's like the more creative part of our process, because so how I do it, but I encourage you to do whatever you want. I take the aluminum foil, and I make like a funky sausage, something like funky sausage. I cannot speak and make the noise at the same time, like this. But don't squeeze it too much. It should be kind of airy, because what I will be doing here, I will be sticking the toothpicks with so like, oh, it stands great. So the toothpicks can go first here, second here, yeah, we have a green huge M&Ms. And then
I have to say that yours look really good, Ada.
How are yours?
But
like
you
you've
have
done it
been
before.
practicing, so
Yeah.
we'll get there, Marketa. We will get
We'll
there.
get there.
I did it once, and I have to say yesterday they were not so pretty when I made the general practicing. But what you can do also, you can just put them inside with a, you know, spoon and put them out on the plate. They will just stick to the plate, so that will be a bit like a funky part. So what is great when, for those of you who had them in the refrigerator, the great part is that the coating is sealing super fast on the cold, let's say, bowl or whatever you got there. So what did you use for the coating? I didn't ask you. Some of you are using coconut oil. This I know.
I'm using the
Somebody
oil, and I
using
have
chocolate.
to say it's a bit like a liquid. The oil.
Liquidish.
Which is what you were saying.
If your spirulina mix is too liquid, then I recommend freezer for 5 minutes, and it will be perfect. That's why, for example, I prefer to melt the butter in the bowl with hot water below, because it also doesn't heat so much. And it's still actually quite liquid. I would prefer it to be a little bit more solid. But I think that maybe I will just make one row of them. I will not prepare all of them because I need to tell you further story. But you can focus on your job there, and I will be your radio. So I made this little. It looks like some funky slime mold right now. Yeah. But please do what you have to do while I will keep going with the story. They are losing the balance. Okay, no. So however I use the, as you did, I use the powdered spirulina from a shop. I have to say that I have one in the studio growing here. And I can show you how does it look just in a bottle. I will bring the bottle right now. This is my emergency culture, which I put in the window. It's like a greenish water, but you can see on the bottom, like a darker stuff when I. It's floating. So it's that, and it's just sitting there. I basically don't do anything to it. It's floating in a water which is mixed like with different minerals, so it is fed on it. I cannot close the bottle too much because it also needs to have a gas exchange, let's say. And in order to harvest it, I would need to have very good sieve and basically sieve it out. But it's not just about growing spirulina, but it's about how make spirulina tell all that story I just told you in the last 1 hour 15 minutes. So this is what I was busy with for the last several months. And I wanted to introduce you right now to Cyano Automaton. Here we get to it. And let me see. By the way, now I will be introducing you the whole Cyano Automaton, and you get yourself, you know, whatever moment in this making the balls, whatever M&Ms, lentilki you are in. But you can also eat it. I think I will try mine. It's eatable. Actually, very good. So please do whatever you like. Yeah. So first of all, how they are coating? Well,
they are pretty salty. But nice.
They are, you know, like for me, they're a bit like salmiakki.
Oh,
Finnish.
No, come on, it's much better.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't compare.
Mine are a bit like salmiakki. Maybe because of this that I sweetened them with acerola. When I put too much of it, it really has this strong aftertaste that I cannot get rid of in any way. And by the way, they taste very well from the freezer when they are like a stone, kind of hard. And you just like melt them in your mouth. I recommend that experience. So yeah, Cyano Automaton. So Cyano Automaton has its webpage, which you can see now, right now, on the screen. But what is it exactly, actually? So it is first of all, it's a bioreactor, and it sounds maybe fancy, but basically bioreactor, it's a vessel which keeps alive something which is inside of it. In this case, spirulina. And I will describe it to you first. You can imagine whatever you want, and then I will show it to you and like how it works exactly. So it has a set of sensors which collect the data, and this data give the rhythm of the story, which actually the Cyano Automaton tells on Twitter. It tweets several different tweets. Some of them are just choosing photos from NASA image archive. Some of them are just tweets about what is happening in the bioreactor environment right now. And some of them are calculating how much gold it was mined in a particular year, how much CO2, how much value it produced, and what kind of, how it is in a relationship to this year's spendings for NASA programs, how much CO2 was produced, and how much spirulina we need in order to make it up. So it's quite a lot of calculations, which I would never be able to do, but our Twitter bot is quite good in it. I wanted to tell you about Cyano Automaton in 3 different kind of chapters, let's say. One, it will be hardware, so what is actually there, no, like physically. Another, what kind of data do we use and how they are interconnected, and what is the output actually? So what we get out, no? Like if you already saw the webpage, there's many funky curves and numbers and like what this all actually means. So I would like to introduce you actually a person who helped me a lot in this project, which is Bartek Bartłomiej, who is the hardware specialist in this project. But let me see if I can move the camera closer. Here's Bartek.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm a camera person. And here is Cyano Automaton. We're sitting together. And maybe Bartek, do you feel, how do you feel about telling about the hardware which we put here?
Yeah, it was a very long journey. We had several different ideas and visions of how it can work. We had to adapt quickly and come up with new ideas when all the ideas didn't work out in the end. So basically, it's quite simple right now. It was more complicated before. There is a glass vessel full of water. Water is with medium, so the stuff that spirulina eats. And apart from that, spirulina needs just 3 elements. Light, obviously. So inside this helmet, let's say, there's a bulb. Apart from that, there's also a heater, a heating element, just like from an aquarium, because spirulina grows best in temperature of about 35 degrees. 25 to 35 is optimal. and then after like 40, it starts to die off, die out. And then there's also an air pump that helps to move the spirulina around the vessel. And everything is connected with each other. During the night, there's of course like a little bit of break. Also with no movement. So spirulina can rest a little bit. But it's also interesting that actually, if we didn't use a pump, then spirulina, we could also observe a natural movement of spirulina because it also has a possibility of auto-regulating. Like if you would look at one of those backup bottles, then you could see that actually there's spirulina floating on the top, there's spirulina on the bottom, and according to its own needs, is able to regulate its position. And what else? Basically, we gather data, then we control temperature. So we have a temperature sensor inside. It's connected with Arduino. The Arduino then is connected with a relay. And when the temperature is is too low, then of course the heater is turned on. If the temperature is too high, then the heater is turned off. There's also a timer that we use to control light and the air pump. And then the last element that we use to measure how much spirulina actually produce are photoresistors. So photoresistor is an element that changes its resistance according to how much light lights on it. So there's one photoresistor here at the top, and there's another at the bottom. And we use the difference from the voltage output that we get from the bottom one, the top one, to calculate how opaque the liquid is, and this gives us some kind of understanding of how much actually spirulina there is inside of the vessel.
Yeah, because spirulina has this tendency. It's me here. Spirulina has this tendency of being darker on a bottom, and not so dark or not so thick on the top. So that's the main kind of a hack, maybe from like a failures, because it's also very interesting to work with living systems. And when spirulina arrived to our studio, we were kind of a little bit like, oh, is she dying? Is it dying? And it's kind of it's really being with in the presence of a being which is, you cannot really predict what it will do, and also because it's just a green water basically from the human capacity and perspective. It's very hard to understand, is it happy or does it need something? And it's very hard to empathize, and we are really trying our best to do so. But we at the beginning were like, oh, let's order this sensor, let's order another. And as Bartek said, that we ended up with the simplest solutions ever, because no sensor were not appropriate for measuring, for example, density of the water with living beings and minerals which it eats on. So that was very funky.
If you get a closer look here, is it possible to?
I'm wired.
Then you can maybe see how much like mineral residue there is on the vessel. Everywhere here. So basically, this water is just like how do you say?
Like a sediment, no?
Like very close word. Full of minerals.
Yeah.
Completely saturated with minerals. So basically, any electrical part that comes in contact with it is immediately destroyed. Because of one thing, because of the water, and then when the water evaporates, it leaves just this thick shell of minerals. Yeah. There's also a Raspberry Pi connected with the Arduino. Actually, right now, after all these changes, we don't actually need to use Arduino anymore. We could just go with Raspberry Pi, and on Raspberry Pi is also like a brain of the bioreactor. We collect, like, Arduino is getting the data from the sensors, and then Raspberry Pi is actually collecting the data, archiving the data, analyzing the data, tweeting, putting data online to our Git repository and stuff like this.
Yeah, so it all started from the sketch, which you might be seeing right now on your screen, and the hat, let's say, of the spirulina got 3D printed. Do you see the full screen actually?
Actually, no. I think that we are seeing you on the full screen.
That's interesting. Share the screen. Okay. I don't like this sharing the screen. What about now? I think now it works.
Yeah, now we can see.
Yeah, so it didn't look like me, the prototype. It looked like this. And
looks military.
Sorry?
Looks very military somehow, the prototype.
Yeah, I mean, this is how we imagine it will look. And I think in real, it looks much more messy.
Of course.
And this is how it started. And now maybe I wanted to talk about the stuff which is visible on the web page, and which I show like a screens on the right now, but you are also very welcome to go to visit the web page, which was cyano-automaton.monster, or you can also look at this page. So what we got here is that green two main values, which we are constantly monitoring, which is temperature and kind of a transparency. We have also kind of showing pump or air pump are turned on or off because they have their own cycles. And below this kind of stripes, let's say, or this like things with numbers and showing like Cyano Automaton Day, NASA year, and so on. We picture here how many days in the mission is Cyano Automaton right now, and what year of NASA missions it comments on. So NASA program roughly started, I think, in 1959 or 8. And around that time, we start to kind of comment on those data from the both NASA budgets, but we also on our Twitter, on Cyano Automaton Twitter account, we are using images which are freely available on NASA webpage. So yeah, like if the Cyano Automaton is in the second day of its mission, it's a 1961 of NASA program. At the same time, below we represent how much of gold that particular year, so commenting on the screen right now, which I am sharing, in the year 1961, 1,230 tons were mined. That means that, wait a minute, 30,605,821 tons of CO2 were produced out of this over 1,000 tons of gold. And the same year, NASA spent 1,150 million over dollars for their missions, which is a bit lesser or much lesser than actually how much gold production created a value, which is a number which I'm not even sure how to read it. And below, the third kind of a stripe shows how much spirulina would be required to kind of pay off or catch up with this whole production of CO2 caused by the mining of gold that particular year, and how much of spirulina we produce today. So you can see in this particular screen is that we actually lost a bit of spirulina because maybe we didn't handle it well, or maybe our devices are not perfect and they are showing minus. So there is a lot of speculation, let's say, although we tried our best to measure it well. And then on those funky curves, they are showing temperature in the last 24 hours and transparency or turbidity in more kind of scientific terms, and also to compare it in 7-day cycle of both numbers. You can see that they are like a zigzag, let's say, because it shows like how light and those bubbles airing are kind of cyclic, and they are turning on and off, and then there is night. So some of the and since we are not keeping the bioreactor in a black box, it also is impacted by the conditions of the light in the room. Yeah, maybe I will. This was quite dense. Maybe you would like to. Maybe there are some questions, comments, whatever.
Hi. Do you hear me?
Yeah, please.
Okay, yeah. So I think I didn't. There's so much of information, so I think I didn't got the core of the bioreactor idea. So are you generating energy? So is that actually like, I don't know, the goal, or like, is it about generating energy, or is it about growing more spirulina?
It is about producing oxygen, basically, in this particular
producing oxygen.
And from the amount of like the more spirulina we have, it means that the more oxygen it created. So in this very case, if I would need to talk about like artistic or concept, not even artistic, is that you know, to have 5 liters of spirulina, it makes it look quite lonely, because what you can do with 5 liters of spirulina if you want to produce oxygen, it's very little of that. And if we think of yay, we produced a little bit today, that's great, and we are so conscious and aware about the problem, I don't know, related to, let's say, CO2 levels. I think that it also makes me realize like how those things are related to the systemic problems, and not necessarily, I mean, our own will and what we try to change is very important, but at the end we are very small, the same as this 5 liters of spirulina are small. So it's kind of it's a little bit of it. Even, I don't know if you had this feeling, but spirulina in this vessel as this Cyano automaton, it looks a bit like a rocket itself. It looks like and also because of this, that this species is so alien actually to us, and hanging out with it every day kind of encourages me to think so. Yeah, it's basically commenting on on the large issues from a small perspective. In a numbers which for human are not really, at least when I see those numbers, I am like, what? I cannot really compute it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Can I ask a question about the oxygen? I didn't get, are you sensing the oxygen somehow with the Arduino? Is there like an oxygen sensor? And also, is it a closed system? Like in a sense, I mean, oxygen obviously is open, right? You're getting air from the room, but do you have to add nutrients? And are you harvesting the spirulina sort of on an ongoing basis, or what's the main product? I mean, obviously information, tweets, right? But I don't want to reduce it to productive process or anything because it is art after all. But are you going to harvest the excess spirulina, and is the oxygen measurable? And is there a thought to kind of automate that further?
We do harvest spirulina as well as we can. So how it looks is that the amount of spirulina you take out, let's say you take out 5 grams of spirulina, like it looks like it's green and gooey and kind of liquidish, like a paste. And you need to put the same amount of the nutrients to balance it out. So it's always, you do not need to change whole water, but you kind of add what you taken out, which is quite intuitive. Regarding oxygen sensing, not at all. Like it is totally open system. So this hat you could see on this aquarium, let's say, on this vessel, like you can take on and off quite easily. It's not sealed. So the only thing which we measure is the amount of the spirulina, or this like a wet spirulina, let's say, and it's still a live spirulina, in contrary to the one which is like you can buy in the shop. Yeah, but about this oxygen production.
Can I chime in?
Yeah, sure. Come in.
Yeah. So basically, we have just statistics about how much oxygen is produced and how much CO2 is sequestered by spirulina for every kilogram. So, and that's the basis of our measurement. So we get how much CO2 was produced. From that, we can calculate how much CO2 can be, how much spirulina needs to be produced to then, how do you say? Oh no.
You mean metabolize?
Yeah, metabolize the CO2.
Mm-hmm.
And then based on the readings from the photoresistors, we can make an assessment of how much spirulina we have today, how much we had yesterday. From that, we can understand how much spirulina grew, and from that we can understand also how much CO2 was sequestered by this this day, right?
Yeah, and meanwhile, I shared on the screen kind of a data which we used and which are kind of merged together and compared. So answering your question, I put here, I think in a second line, that 1 kilogram of spirulina creates 1.8 kilo of oxygen. So it takes the same amount of CO2 from the atmosphere. Of course, it's a very much of an estimate, because spirulina can have different productivity depending on the conditions, temperature, how well it is doing. But we've been using this estimate to calculate our numbers. So this is where the oxygen amount comes from, basically from the amount of spirulina produced.
Oh, cool. Okay, so that's good. Yeah, and so. So you just harvest it like with a sieve, like once in a while you just pour the bottle through a sieve, and then the rest you just weigh that. Is that how that works?
Yeah, we noticed that it gives so much better results when the water is a bit warmer. So you basically treat it a little bit like a fish tank, that you have this we are using exactly like a fish tank kind of heater. And because it likes temperatures maybe around 30 Celsius degrees, up to actually 35, it is super happy in a bit warmer water. Because I noticed that I was showing you this bottle before. So this is like a super kind of static version of the spirulina. It's just in the bottle. It doesn't have additional shaking. I eventually would do sometimes this, so it's mixed well, and you can see it becomes quite much darker. But it's very slow growing in comparison to the one which is having this like a movement because of this a bubble pump, which is again taken basically from from the same concept of having an aquarium with fish at home, and when you have those bubbles, it's the same kind of a pump. You just need to, one has to be careful on how strong this movement and the bubbles are in the water, so it doesn't damage the cells of spirulina. So you can see if it becomes too yellow or whatever, that maybe the bubbles should be smaller. But the movement of the water with spirulina is quite important, because otherwise it tends to sit on the bottom, and the light doesn't reach there so well. So the whole photosynthesis doesn't really work well. So that's why the bubbles or some other mixing method is needed. So from, super analog shaking the bottle to, I don't know, having a fish aquarium pump to put some bubbles in, to much more complex systems if we talk about industrial way of producing spirulina. But just to come back to what you see on the screen right now, I made a list of all things, of all data which are kind of coming in. So we've been looking at how much CO2 is produced when gold is mined, how much spirulina produces oxygen, how much gold have been mined yearly worldwide, and the historical gold prices, including inflation, NASA budgets since 1960s, and images from NASA archive, and our local data, meaning temperature and turbidity. Yeah, quite a lot of numbers, and spirulina in the middle of all. Yeah, I think I will stop sharing the screen. We have 15 minutes, and this is amazing that I've managed to tell you everything what I hope to tell you, because how I prepare myself to the presentations is that I never do the same presentation twice, because I also want to have a motif of a surprise regarding that. So it's always quite exciting thing if I manage to tell everything what I wanted. And 15 minutes for a chat is just amazing amount of time. So that's the biggest success, and the little holes. M&Ms.
Congrats to that. I'm still amazed by the M&Ms, by the way. They're just so, at least on the camera, they look super precise, Mine are a super big mess, but I'm curious how other people, what is the outcome of other people's efforts?
Definitely. Who was making something, and is it on the way, or you already ate everything, or?
Mine look very DIY. Hey, first time, okay?
Yeah, it's quite eatable, though mine looks like a leaf at the bottom because I left it to sit.
Exactly.
I think they're beautiful.
Oh wow!
Wow, yeah, that's like a cake pops.
They look like mushrooms when they are sitting on those.
They actually taste
Yeah,
really
so-
good.
But
Aga, amazing quality of starting at the same time. Please go ahead.
No, go for it.
Hello, I just wanted to ask you, Aga, about so like, you know, how long do you want to live with the Cyano Automaton? Like, how
Yeah,
long
I
is it
forgot.
going to
This is
stay?
important. They will be doing their tweeting business for around 60 years. Oh my gosh, no, 60 days. Says 2 months. And why? Because they are featuring year by year this NASA budgets. So NASA budgets and in general, the space program started in the 60s. So that's why 60 days. And I even had somewhere a date, but it is like yeah, somewhere in July it will stop. I don't know if you ever searched this NASA image archive. It's quite exciting, and there are really bizarre pictures because, of course, there are all those pictures which we know from, I don't know, Challenger mission and like this iconic, I don't know, the blue dots photo. But then there are really bizarre photos, and I hope that Spirulina can help us to fetch those from, and she was like to present it daily. Year by year, so like each day is a representation of 1 year of a space program. And I've been talking a lot about dollars and NASA, which is like all state-based. And I have to say that I had this ambition to like talk about at least several space programs, because NASA is not the only space program at all. But it's not so easy to get their data. So NASA, I think that was like the most, I don't know, maybe because it's so iconic and many people are obsessed with it, that's, yeah, like, and they have like a quite good PR program, that it was a little bit easier to reach that. The space programs are very much related to military. So I think in many cases they are not so open.
This is account like when Cyano Automaton is posting, it's not Instagram, it's Twitter.
It's Twitter.
Ah, okay. I don't have Twitter, but I can still see it, I guess.
Yeah, you can, and the tweeting feed is visible on the web page too. So it's kind of you can preview it there.
Cool. Can you like share the link, because I was trying to type it from this what you.
I think that Andrea put it there. Thank you.
All right.
I just shared it.
Nice.
It can use some followers. Just released.
I saw that within Uroboros there is some other bot, at least one I saw on our app, that there is on the Discord that somebody was posting. So I was thinking that Cyano Automaton should be following all the bots from Uroboros possible. This is the exactly that one.
The design research bot, yeah.
So for sure, actually, I can follow it right now. But please don't hesitate to comment, to say I don't get it, or whatever, or this recipe sucks.
It does not, but maybe, hey, I was interested more in your like the next step when you are actually going to your Mars mission.
Yeah, it's something I totally didn't mention. Yeah, because
you're actually going to Mars.
Where this whole idea came from, actually. Oh, Cyano Automaton just follows the design research, but okay. So as I told you, I have this love and hate relationship to space exploration, and I thought if I will ever go to Mars, then it should happen on Earth. So it happened so that I applied to a place which is called NDRS. So it's like a analog Mars research station on Utah Desert in US. And well, they got me in. So currently I'm preparing for a mission on this fake Mars. Well, it was already ought to happen this year. And because of the whole situation with COVID and so on, it got moved at the beginning of 2022. And my idea was that I want to go there with spirulina and like bring the spirulina to Mars and like, you know, experiment with my peers on that. But then I started to think, but how will I grow it? So then, oh, let's build this bioreactor. But then, hey, am I not like exploitive myself towards that? So how we can comment on that in itself. So I think that I am really like interested in a critical approach while doing actually this what I criticize. I just realized. So it's like I kind of contradict myself while doing it, because why one would like to bring cyanobacteria or spirulina on a fake Mars. So we will be a team, coming back to the topic, of 8 people of very various skills, experiences, ages, countries, whatever. I never met those people besides monthly Zoom meetings where we are discussing our mission plans. And yeah, in January, I'll be there for 2 weeks, following all the rules of how analog space missions look, wearing the spacesuit when going out of the base, and having my spirulina around. So I hope that having this bioreactor right now is also, it's a kind of a, I thought at the beginning it was a research phase for this mission, but now it's kind of growing up. And it's interesting to also observe that, because it's not anymore the same project, although at the beginning I thought it's the same. So it's kind of it's a fringe of a Mars mission called Cyano Automaton, let's say. Well, I can always cook for my crew the Cyano balls.
It's a helpful practical skill, no?
Exactly, like
popular with the other astronauts.
Exactly. But it will be funky to grow the spirulina because, of course, it's not possible to bring like a glass vessel there. So I'm quite inspired by those photos I shown you from the ISS, the International Space Station, where they are in this like plastic bags with the little tubes letting air in and out. So yes, that will be the next step of kind of making a pocket bioreactor, I guess. Because 5 liters is not really handy. It's quite heavy, actually, the whole thing, if you want to move it. So
you're following the whole trend of, you know, lab on wheels, lab on a chip, lab in a suitcase, or whatever is the miniaturizing.
Exactly. Hey, but we have just 3 minutes left, and I think that we can start to, I mean, we are already wrapping up. I can just tell you that whatever you made, I encourage you to put it to the freezer or the fridge, because it's much more yummy, at least for my senses and for my version of it. So that's the after steps with that.
I'm definitely doing that. Mine are melting in front of my eyes now. But yeah, we are kind of almost hitting the end time that we have of the 2 hours. So I guess definitely thank you from the snakes. Thank you from the Uroboros side for organizing this and doing this super hands-on workshop. I think this is the first one that we really got our hands really dirty this year. So that's really great. And thanks everyone for coming, of course. And yeah, the festival is a bit crazy this year. It's going on for next 2 weeks. So if you are up for visiting any other events, please do. There are still some free spots, I'm sure, at some of the events. Or watch the stream. That's always an option. And yeah, I think that's all from us.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. Again, Zoom, Friday, cooking stuff which you don't know what you're cooking. I really admire that you went for it. And happy to hang out with you for these 2 hours.
Thanks for showing us how to prepare proper Mars.
It was super, thank you.
We are all ready.
Say thanks for Bart as well. It was interesting to hear him discuss about the
Yeah, Bart, say bye.
Sure.
Thanks.